In the movie Straight Outta Compton, there is a famous scene where Suge and his goons come into the studio and beat up Eazy-E pretty bad. To the best of your knowledge, did that really happen?
Never happened. Eazy never, listen, Eazy was a small in stature, but he had a lot of guts, boy. And nobody would have beat him up, and there would have been healthy pay if somebody did. Okay? Nobody touched him. Okay? He was put in a situation where he had no choice but to sign some releases, but nobody laid a glove on him. Nobody touched him.
When I saw that scene in Straight Outta Compton, where Eazy gets whooped on, in the back of my head, I knew that wasn't true. Even though at that time when I was watching it, I hadn't known anything about that particular part of the story, but something told me that even though Suge Knight was powerful on the streets and can make something like this happen, Eazy-E was just as powerful, and he could prevent something like that happening. So as you guys know, in the scene, Suge and his goon, Eazy, pulls up. Suge and his goons come out and threaten Eazy. Eazy stands his ground. And the next thing you know, they're putting feet and hands to him. Cut to the next scene. Eazy is in front of Jerry's house. And he's contemplating taking the life of Suge Knight. Now that latter part, where Eazy wanted to get rid of Suge, by many accounts, that was true. By many accounts, that was true. But that whole beat up thing, nah, that was all Hollywood, folks. That was all Hollywood. As Mike Klein said in that clip, there would have been hell to pay if something like that happened to Eazy-E. And believe me, Mike Klein is no joke. He would not allow something like that to happen. So it's funny how Hollywood adds their own little sauce to these movies. Anyone who's watched Straight Outta Compton, it's not a documentary. I've spoken to many, many people who are involved in this project, who were portrayed in this project, including my co-host, Alonzo Williams. And most of them have said that, yeah, it's about 40 to 50% accurate. Not a lot of accuracy in that movie. Great movie, one of my favorite hip hop movies of all time, but not 100% accurate. So don't go into the comment sections arguing with people who were there. I see that all the time. You don't know what you're talking about, man. And Straight Outta Compton, they said this, they said that. From the first opening scene of Straight Outta Compton to the end credits, there's so many inconsistencies. And anyone involved in that project would let you know. But what do you guys think about this interview so far with Mike Klein, head of security for Ruthless Records, head of business affairs for Ruthless Records? This man saw a lot. This man knew a lot. He had a lot of power in the industry. And he was probably, I'm going to say, the most powerful person at Ruthless Records at that time. Over Jerry Heller. Over Eazy-E. Yes, you heard that right. Mike Klein, the man we are interviewing, had the most power at Ruthless Records. And it's amazing that we got to interview this guy. You're not going to hear his story anywhere else. As of the recording of this, he ain't doing no other podcasts. He hasn't been on any other YouTube channels. Go ahead, search right now. Look, once again, if you're listening to this in 2055, the year 2058 or whatever, by then he's probably shared his story. But as of the recording of this, he has not done anything other than come on our show and share his story, because he trusts my co-host Alonzo Williams that much to come and share his story. If you want to check out the full interview, you can do so by going to the description and clicking the link in the description. Click on that link and subscribe to NWA Stories with Lonzo. That's NWA Stories with Lonzo. Click on that link. Subscribe to the channel. and then check out the full interview with Mike Klein. And while you're there at NWA Stories with Lonzo, check out some of the other interviews we've done in the past. We have a dope catalog. I'm going to go and say we have the best catalog when it comes to West Coast hip hop. I'm saying that. If you think I'm lying, go check it out. NWA Stories with Lonzo. I do a show every single Tuesday with my colleague, my homeboy, my mentor, my dog, Alonzo Williams, the godfather of West Coast hip hop. And that title fits him perfectly. But before you go over there and show him some love, I need you to show me a little bit of love right here. Hit that like button. If you have not already, go and smash that like button for your boy. And if this is your first time joining the channel and you like what you hear, please hit that subscribe button. And if you enjoyed this video, you just might appreciate this bonus clip I'm about to play for you right now. There's a couple of famous, and I put famous in quotes, obviously, inmates who spent time at San Quentin. I would love to know, Stanley Tookie Williams, co-founder of the Crips gang, he was his life was taken by lethal injection at San Quentin prison, where he spent 25 years of his life. Do you happen to remember that specific time? I'm just curious. And did you know anything about that situation?
I was at the prison the day, I was doing time there when he was executed. And, and unfortunately, Tookie was in a spot where, the society and politics and everything like that were trying to push everybody, push this idea that, killing somebody is what we ought to be doing with people. And, I'm of the opinion, because I took somebody's life, I says, well, I deserve to die for what I did. But the reality is that I also think that, before they start going around killing people, that, they should prosecute and kill, somebody who is a millionaire. And because, it almost invariably, the people that get wind up on death row, if not every one of them, they didn't have money. They didn't have money for people to, and pay for their, for attorneys that would, keep, make sure that their rights were not being violated. So, the idea that somebody should be killed for what they did, that's the thing. And then Tookie was, purportedly he didn't do what they said he did in the first place. I did not know him directly. I think I've seen him walk in being escorted by staff, because the death row inmates were under close security and everything like that. And surprisingly, they're now transferring those guys to prisons, and they're letting them walk a main line and stuff like that nowadays. But back when Tookie was there, he was in the maximum security area, and I was not privy to that kind of area, or I wasn't going to be there. So I just hear the stories and stuff like that. And, I was hearing stories about that, if they killed him, that, prison guards and or police out on the streets were going to be killed and everything like that. And so they locked us down, and I think we stayed locked down for about 3-4 days as a result of that. And, but it came and went, and I remember what was his name? Reverend Jesse Jackson. He came to see him, and a couple of other celebrities came to see him at that time. I think Snoop Dogg actually came to see him as well.
Yeah,
and so I was hearing the stories, and I was kind of like watching that stuff unfold.
Okay. Now, another person who spent time there, and I believe he went in a little bit before your time, but I'm wondering if you know anything or remember any stories about Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker.
Oh yeah, I've seen him walking in the prison, or not walking in, being escorted. And he was, again, just like Tookie, he was in high security, and he had never anytime he was walking around there, just like Richard Allen Davis, the same thing. They were, being escorted around, and he was Richard Ramirez was kind of like he was a spooky looking guy, and they walked him through the visiting room when I was out there a couple of times, but he they had him isolated from us for the most part, and they just kind of lived in their own world, so to speak.
Gotcha. Now, talk to us about what led to, hold on one second, sorry. Talk to us again about the San Quentin newspaper, some of your, times that you spent there, how you got the job, some of the stories you guys wrote, how the inmates felt about it. Can you go a little bit deeper into that?
I was a clerk at the time, and I was doing a lot of report writing and stuff like that. And so, and then I started to write. I was writing my own stories as well at that time and place. I'd written a full-length novel, and I'd sent it out for publication, and it got recognized. I mean, I came to very within an inch of getting published. I started to get compliments on on my personal writing and stuff like that. And, and I knew how to handle myself. And so they wanted somebody who was going to represent the paper without being pressured, making it into something that, only talks about the gripes that guys in prison would have versus, what's really going on there, information about what to do with their lives, how to get themselves in the right spots and stuff like that. And so, they trusted me. And so they asked me to be involved in the paper and get it going in the right direction. And that was a challenge because the guys the inmates didn't believe that there was going to be a valid paper, and the staff did not want a paper at all. And so we had to do a balancing act between the two. And some of the first things that happened was we wrote, so we published a few articles about what was going on in the hole, or ad seg as it's called, and about the conditions there, and they were terrible. And so, we started pointing it out there and putting it out there in a way that, we showed the guys that, we're going to tell the stories, but, and also we were telling the stories about what's good going on in the prison system, what kind of opportunities they might be able to get in there and everything like that. And it was a good thing. We got blowback from just about every direction, and that was okay too. It was kind of not surprising that that happened, and but it was fun to be a part of that. And the paper went on. It blew up. It became very well known, and it's gotten honors from every different direction. You can find the San Quentin newspaper on the internet now. Every edition of the paper that has ever been printed is available on the internet right now, and you can go over there and you can look at the history of it all the way through from when we started it back in 2006. It was all the way up to current.